Meanwhile, TV itself was mushrooming. The days of domination by one or two channels was over. But the ways in which the channels branded themselves were beginning to look distinctly old-fashioned. The arrival of a new kid on the block was going to shake things up.
Channel 4 was really exciting. I mean, it's hard to explain how exciting it was, but it arrived and there was a sense that it was modern and a bit punk.
Channel 4 wanted to shake up the look and the sound of the classic TV ident.
Spread the word.
Enter branding supremo Martin Lambie-Nairn and jingle writer turned pop star David Dundas.
I pull my blue jeans on. I pull my old blue jeans on. I pull my blue jeans on. I pull my old blue jeans on.
David said, I've got an idea. Will you come over? I need a wonderful house with a beautiful room with a great grand piano. And I sat down beside him, was expecting to hear or something. And he went, boom, 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 and looked at me. He said, well, yeah, it's the idea. Oh. So I said, well, could we have one note shorter than the other, perhaps? Something like boom, 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 boom. And that was my input to the music. That was it.
Yes, the four notes, the power of four notes. And those little motifs, or not motifs, but those themes, we don't have them anymore. But they were so powerful in terms of their branding.
The other established channels were so jealous they could barely speak.
The Channel 4 ident, with its memorable four-note tune, so established the brand that the BBC felt it had to up its game.
To pay £35, £34 for a channel I don't look at is quite expensive.
Auntie was seen as rather staid and traditional, but Director General John Burt was determined to go head-to-head with Channel 4. The ident wars were on. The Great British Sting-Off.
He said, we need to reposition the BBC as a global creative powerhouse. The ITV people thought it was the best bit of comedy that had come out of the BBC for years. I remember being briefed by the BBC that the whole thing needed to be very energetic and loud and all that kind of thing. And I said, why? For instance, just sat in silence. And I said, I've got your attention now, haven't I? The character of the BBC is not brassy, loud. We're calm and confident, and actually we're producing quality stuff. We don't do loud and banging about.
Composer Phil Sawyer gave the stunning visual a rippling, soaring piano score that gives wings to the idea that this channel is the entire world. The BBC is coming to every gorgeous corner of the country, rhythmically and harmonically uplifting and unifying.
But BBC Two had to be branded separately, in effect.
Oh, yes. You see, BBC Two had been taken over by Alan Yentob, and he had invested a lot of money in lots of comedy and drama. And it was very popular stuff. But the research was telling them that they were seen as stuffy and dull and snooker. So we had to kind of go, bang. I wanted to move it on and actually do some risky stuff.
Composers Tony and Gaynor Sadler were given the daunting task of coming up with the melody.
The music was very interesting, because you can't even say it's the music, you say the sound.
The sound for the Falling To had a kind of metallic sound in it.
Yes, very metallic. And it was the sort of thing you'd actually put up against as a tough drama or something like that. And suddenly we're slightly surreal, verging on Dada. And then they went on to do a kind of form of sound, which you knew full well as soon as you heard it, it was BBC Two, and hooray, I'd arrived at last at a non-jingle television brand identity. Nowhere in the world had anything like this.
The striking sound design gives the BBC Two ident a distinct sense of character, the sophisticated tone and instrumentation signalling that what's coming next is original and high quality. The next problem for the BBC was the news. They wanted to make sure everyone all over the world recognised it was BBC News, but it wasn't going to be an easy task. The music shouldn't be either too upbeat or downbeat. It should sound authoritative without being too scary, and be able to introduce reports that could vary wildly in tone.
Good afternoon. The Queen has opened the new session of Parliament with the traditional ceremony at Westminster.
BBC News had, over the years, gone from sounding like this, to this, to this. But its new incarnation revolutionised how a news theme should sound.
It's the BBC News theme. Almost everyone will recognise it, and I think that these things do become a part of national identity.
I'd long thought that the best ident for anything on radio and television had been the Pips. We'd grown up with it right from the war, so I thought, we're going to have that.
David Lowe was one of several composers who'd been asked to respond to Martin's brief.
David was last in, and we were kind of like suicidal. Sits down, bang, hits the tape. And we went, oh my goodness, he's got it.
But he absolutely used the Pips.
Well, he would have had his legs broken if he didn't.
BBC News 24, that was the first time I'd had the sense that the music suggested something had been happening beforehand, and then it was going to go on happening afterwards. So it wasn't just about the moment of the branding of the programme.
It acts as a musical glue, terribly important. It's glue for the whole show.
David Lowe's theme has been so successful that it's still being used over 20 years after its debut in 1999. And it's even inspired an abundance of viral tributes.
It's got the underlying beat, which makes it 120 BPM, so it is quite like a rave tune. What it does is that classic thing of going into a minor chord and then resolving with a major. Don't worry about it, everything will be okay, the BBC News is here. But it's quite an epic track in quite a short amount of time.
This is the BBC!
The power of short pieces of music,
Do not listen to the others!
many of them ones we scarcely clocked, has, as we've seen, played a critical role in the way the medium has grown and got its funding through licence fee or advertising. But the oh-so-clever tricks learnt in the Bits